Hi friends and companions along this path of spiritual practice. The simplest instructions that I received about meditation was quite simple. Stop and look. It roughly corresponds to the traditional understanding of meditation, which begins with shamatha. Shamatha is about concentrated focus. And with concentration, we learn to stop and pay attention to just this moment. And once we have developed the stability of shamatha, we learn to practice vipassana, which is about looking and listening for insight and wisdom. Vipassana that helps us to look at reality for what it is rather than what I wish it were. Shamatha, stopping, and vipassana, looking and listening. These fundamental instructions on meditation. For those of us who have been practicing Zen meditation, you know that Zazen, or seated meditation, literally takes stopping, not moving, to an extreme. I remember being on meditation retreats with Zen Buddhist communities, and at the beginning of the retreat, being reminded that once I took my seat, that I was not to move for half an hour, for 45 minutes, for 50 minutes. Literally not to move even an inch. Why is it so extreme to not move? Well, over the years I've learned that my thoughts need to be stilled. And when I can slow down my thoughts, I begin to notice the motivations that give rise to those thoughts. And if I can still those motivations, I begin to settle into the values from which those motivations, those thoughts arise. How do we realize not moving? By going deeper and deeper into our experience. I think about thoughts that come from motivations, that come from values. And I think about the classical Greek domains of values, the true, the beautiful, the good. When we look upon the world, values may not be readily apparent. Our survival needs, our social needs may be very, very loud. And only after quieting and stilling our minds do we begin to recognize the deep-seated values that undergird our speaking, our thinking, our behaving, our whole lives. It's also interesting about the interplay of these domains of values, the good, the true, the beautiful, and how they overlap and interconnect with one another, as if those three domains of values are collaborating or conspiring towards some common goal. We sometimes say that a scientific theory is beautiful. And the poet John Keats says, beauty is truth, truth, beauty. We sometimes look at a painting and we say things like, that painting was really honest. Or we say that an act of kindness was absolutely beautiful. The true, the good, the beautiful, overlapping and intermingling with one another, as if these values were all conspiring towards something, which they are, of course, conspiring toward what is the flourishing of our lives, conspiring toward literally what a value is, that which is worth our while. At Unity Church, we are living into our end statements, but I have been much more drawn to the values that undergird those end statements. The values of wonder, open-hearted engagement, and courageous action. Values, for many, are not the loudest and the most apparent things in our lives. They don't come at us shouting imperatives. They are often the quiet whisper and the foundation that gives birth to who we are. It may be true that survival needs and affiliative needs are louder. But I also know that ever since human creatures learned how to rub two sticks together and create fire, we were painting on walls, we were singing and we were dancing, we were dyeing cloth, we were drawing on pottery. Sometimes these values transcend even our survival needs. So as I think about wonder, open-hearted engagement, and courageous action, how do we stop? And how do we begin to look at values that are embedded in the deep structure of our day-to-day experience? And friends, maybe it's an extreme, but that is why we are instructed, especially in Zen Buddhist practice, that once we take our seat, we stop moving. Not even an inch of twitching, so that we can settle into the depths of our experience to find our motivations and to find our values. And so we continue with our practice.